me here at the disco. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. At the Piggly, standing in line, feeling nervous, waiting my time. Then a large can fell from my coat, so I shouted before they took note. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, please, did anyone see? Who threw that ham at me?
I want to go home now, you idiots.
Okay, disco garbage can. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Flip your lid. Yeah, get down. Alright. Twirl. Everyone twirl. So I turned and walked away. Like later on I would go and pay. Then it happened when I stopped. A frozen bird fell with a plop.
My family is waiting for me.
A frozen bird fell with a plop. Who flung this turkey at me? Who flung this turkey at me? What's going on? Didn't you see? Someone threw a turkey at me. Yeah, disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, flip your lid. Disco garbage can. Yeah, do the disco garbage can. Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Hey, didn't anybody see? Who threw that ham at me? Who threw that ham at me? Disco garbage can, everybody. Yeah, get down. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, go for it, baby. Yeah, that's really great. Well, everybody, I've made my scene here at the disco tonight, so I'm going on to the next disco. Hopefully, I'll see you there.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. Today we're going to talk about the word clock again. So for you guys who are interested in Dave Darren, the way he rants and raves and is pissed off all the time, today is not the show for you. Today's more like a techie show. And I'm not dressed to entertain either today. I'm in my work clothes, I'm in my work attitude, I'm in my work mindset. So here we're going to rock and roll. So a couple of you guys yesterday asked me, because I'm building this word clock. In other words, a clock, instead of displaying the numbers, it displays wording. It tells you what time it is based upon reading the clock. And my wife hates shit like that because she likes to understand the clock in the normal traditional way we understand the clock. She doesn't like, I showed you guys yesterday some binary wristwatch I got. She doesn't like the thing I'm doing. She doesn't want to read this clock, but it's an artistic thing I've been trying to pull off. I have to belch once in a while because I'm not here to entertain you guys with belches either. But so a lot of you guys thought, okay, Dave, pretty cool. I can buy this equipment and put it together like a jigsaw puzzle and it'll work. I forgot to tell you guys, there's a software component to this stuff as well. So not only do you need to buy the electronics, the circuit board that controls the time and the ability to light LED lights based upon a software program you write, there's a lot to it. Now I'll show you here what I got. Today I progressed a little bit. I only get to work on this in the early morning hours, and I got my day job to do. Right now it's lunchtime, so I'm going to work on it during my lunch hour. And a little bit after work, I can't let it interfere with walking the dog, Willie, or swimming with the dog. But let me see if I can pull it over. So before you guys think you can pull this off, thinking Dave Darren's doing something that's really easy, here is the clock. Now you can see the things that are more simple, you get a piece of board. Now as I get beyond the prototype, it's going to get a lot more detail. But there's the control board up top, which is by an Italian company called Arduino. And you get the ability to put 5 volts, you get a normally open, normally closed, you get a digital readout, so you can have the little, these are called NeoPixels. So remember, when you do this too, you gotta put them together in a strand. Now they do come in a strand of 30 or 60, but I to put them on the board here so I can have the time, like 5 minutes past or 2, 1, and spells out the time. To do all this, you got to light up the NeoPixels, and how do you do that? You got to write a piece of software to do that, and you got to know how to plug in commons. You got to know how to plug in the digital on the board. So it's not all that easy. Right now, tonight, or this morning rather, I found a couple of these. There's a 5 volts goes into it. You can see it just changed time. There's 5 volts in. There's a common, and there's the normally open, normally closed. So now when I press the button, instead of what I was doing before, is I had wires up here to the board where I was going from a digital and grounding it. Now I've got the little button here which lights up because it's got 5 volts going to it. You see, this is going to move the time by 30 minutes. You can see as I press, oh no, this is the minute. This is I have another button down here that's not lit up. This will move the time by 30 minutes. You can see right now it says, if you know how to read this thing, right now it says half. I got HALF, and I'm going to put a board over top of this where these little NeoPixels are going to shine through a cutout in the surface to have the letter H, the letter A, the letter L, the letter F. And if you think of a flat board here with the letters cut out, the H cut off so that the light can shine through not only the section of the board that has the cutout on it. That's the way it works. So right now it says this is ITIS, which I don't have the white thing for that. It just is now half, HALF, past 12. So now I didn't synchronize the clock or the time. But now if I press this button, it's going to move from half by 30 minutes. So now it's going to say it's 1 o'clock. Then it'll say half past 1, then 2 o'clock. You see how it works. Now this one here controls the minutes, and I can light up this one as well. This is a prototype so far, but these are, let's see. See these on the corners, these are the minutes. So that right now it's 4 minutes after. Now it's 4, 3, 2, 1. So you get the idea here. So now let me show you guys who all think, Dave, you're not such a genius. It's pretty easy. All right, so you got the board you got to make. You got to wire in the NeoPixels. You got to understand the configuration of the board. Now, I'm not an electrical engineer. I happen to be a mechanical engineer, but I happen to know a little bit about electronics. So I bought this board from this company called Arduino. Now, there's a couple negatives with this board, by the way, that I noticed. Now, here's the software for you guys that think this is so easy to do. Here's actually the software related to this. Here's the colorization on the NeoPixels. You can color them in red, green, or blue. If you recognize these red, green, and blue colors, these are the colors. If you had the old TVs, the old ones that were they shined on a mirror. I used to have one of these TVs. It shines on a mirror in 3 colors, red, green, and blue. And then the intensity of the red, green, and blue give you the colorization of the picture on the TV. So you can do that. Here's the way you can control that. And I'm not going to go through all this, but obviously I'm just going to show you guys. One of the negatives with this board is, and this should be known, and I sent them, and sometime I think they're going to watch some of my videos because they're going to take some of my critiques. One of the things with the boards is, let me shine myself up here, is you would think that the clock would be independent of all the functionality, but it's not. So the more complex you make the program, the less accurate the clock becomes. And then you have to finagle the software to figure out how to make the clock be exact, or as close as to exact as you can be. And what I mean is here. So I've got lines of code for any of you guys that program. You can see here as I drop down to where I light up the NeoPixels, you can see when it's, for instance, when it's 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, I'm looking for a minute that is greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 5. Because after you go above 5, you got 11 o'clock, but then you got 11:06, 11:07, and I light up the minutes individually on the corners, if you remember seeing them. So I light up the o'clock hour, whether it's 11 o'clock, and then I light up the individual little pixels for calculating the minutes. But you got o'clock lit for 5 seconds plus the seconds, or I'm sorry, 5 minutes. This is minutes. M equals minutes. So you got o'clock written or displayed in NeoPixels with the letter O, the letter C, the letter L, O, C, K, with the LEDs behind the individual letters that I'm going to have cut out on that flat board. But you got the minutes from 0 to 5. So o'clock starts. It's o'clock, and then it's 1 minute after 12. Then it's 2 minutes after 12. 3 minutes after 12. 4, 5, 6. Then as soon as it gets to 5 after, then I change the lettering to say 5. And you can see it down here below. You can see then I light up the pixels to eliminate 5. 5 minutes. It'll say 5 minutes. So first it says 11 o'clock. Then 11:01 is lit by an individual LED light. So I don't stop lighting up the o'clock. The o'clock stays lit until I go through each of the 4 minutes. And then when I get to the 5 minute mark of 11:05, it's no longer at 11 o'clock. It's 11:05. I light up 5 minutes. You can see that here in the software. So the more and more of these if loops that you've got, see this, if you know programming, this is an if block. The more of these if blocks you have, the more it impacts the clock, which is amazing because the clock should be running independent. I have to give this feedback to this Arduino company out of Italy that their clock should be not influenced at all by the software people write around the clock. So in other words, in order to synchronize the clock, what I had to do is when the minute got to 46 seconds, that's when I had to accelerate the clock to 59 seconds because it was losing, the clock was losing 14 seconds. It was off by 14 seconds. Now you can't have a clock that you have on the wall that every minute it loses 14 seconds. You can't have that happen. So what I did here is I wrote this program, and as soon as the seconds of each individual minute gets to 46 seconds, it jumps from 46 seconds to 59 seconds. Now, if I was displaying on my clock visually the LED lights, the seconds, you would think, well, Dave, what happened to 47 seconds, 48 seconds, 49 seconds? You skip from 46 to 59. Since I'm only displaying the minutes, you don't see the seconds in the background to be an issue here, right? So there's a problem with that board. I got to give these guys feedback that their clock chip on their board should be independent of the software that you write that displays the time increment on the clock chip that's on the board. So it's a little bit messed up. So by the way, you can see how this works here. If I bring up the time, and I'll show you how this works via the software. If I can put these displays side by side, I guess I can if I move this. Here you see my ugly face again, and I'll try to make this smaller so you can see on the screen. So the way you write in software is up top I set the initial time somewhere. See, there's the NeoPixel initialization of how many there are. There's actually 104 of these little tiny lights on that board. I think I have it up top. 108. I have 108 lights. I have 104. I'll pull it back over here. There are 104 of these NeoPixel lights because the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 by, I think it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I have the corners with the minutes coming up. So 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minutes. So that's the way I got this and you can see right now all 4 minutes are lit up. If I press this button, you're going to see one of the lights clicks off. Did you see that, or was it hard to see? You can see the corners clicking off as I click the minute decrease. And like I said, this one here accelerates it by 30 minutes. I'm going to have more of these. I'm going to have decrease by 30 minutes, increase by 30 minutes, decrease by 5 minutes, increase by 5 minutes, decrease by 1 minute, increase by 1 minute. And actually, some of the other clocks, they only do, and this is a shock, they only give you the ability to increase and decrease by 15 minutes. So that means if you want to increase your clock 9 hours in advance, you got to press that button a lot of times, and then there's no 5-minute thing, so it's kind of whacked. So I went through and created software to account for that. So now that's the way you set the clock. We're using the actual physical device, which is battery powered, or you can plug it into the wall, or I have it plugged into the computer so I can control not only keeping it powered up, but also write the software around it. But okay, if I go here, slide this over so you can see the minutes calculating, and I'll slide this over. Okay, I guess that's going to work. So now if I really wanted to set the time using the software, remember I told you guys everyone thought this was so easy to do, but there's a lot of software involved here. You can see the set time. So I set it to, for instance, if I wanted to set it to the approximate time right now, 12, I'll set it to 12:14. I notice there's a delay in when I launch the software of about 4 or 5 seconds. And you'll see here, perhaps if I had the screen small enough. Yeah, you see down at the bottom where it gives you like errors and stuff like this. It'll tell you loading up the software, because what you do is you write software and then you send it to the card, the control card. And you'll see now if I press this button, it's going to reload the time to be 12. I set it to 12:15 now. And if I press the upload, it's going to upload this software to that card and run the software so that when I unplug it from the computer, disconnecting the ability to program it via the computer, it'll run on its own based upon the time that is the default time. So if I had this set till 12 o'clock noon or 12 o'clock midnight, which is what I'll do when I ship this clock out, as soon as someone plugs it in, it's going to display 12 o'clock. And then you'll have to use the buttons to adjust the time, just like you would do with a normal electronic clock. I was thinking about putting in a Wi-Fi card so it grabs the live time based upon where you live. And there's a software board, a board I can buy, and then I can program it to do that. But I don't know if I'm going to go through all that effort. So here's 12:15. Now I should make it 12:16. And if I hit the upload, you'll see it'll compile the code, and it'll say I'm using 25% of the program storage space that is available in the card. And you can see here on the right hand side, did you see the time change? It says 12:16. I'll change it again just so you see the time right here changing. So supposedly, maybe if I made this program say 12:30, you'll see it'll say 12:30 as soon as I upload the program. This 12:16 is going to change to 12:30. There you go, 12:30 and 5 seconds. You saw the little delay there? Now, by the way, remember I told you this little loop I have here for the o'clocks? And also I have here, this is how the minutes are calculated on each of those individual chips, on NeoPixels on the corners. But if you notice the o'clock, remember I told you there's a 46 second, after it hits 46 seconds of any minute between 0 and 5 minutes, it'll accelerate by from 46 seconds to 59 seconds. You can see how that happens if I make this time. I want to make it an o'clock. So I'm going to make this a 0. And if I launch this, you'll see at the side here, it'll start 12 o'clock in 5 seconds, because remember there's like a 5-second delay of software to be written to the board. So 5, as soon as I get to 46 seconds of the o'clock, you'll see it'll jump from 46 seconds. You see it says 13, 14, 15. This is too slow. And that's because I'm running a lot of looping software in the background, which is impacting the chip, the clock chip on the board. As soon as I get to 46 seconds to recalibrate and get it to be accurate, you're going to see it'll jump from 46 seconds to 59 seconds. So I've actually had the clock gain enough time to build the accuracy back into it. So that's what I mean. Some of you guys think that writing software like this is really easy. And for you techie guys, you'll know that it's not. Well, watch for the 46 seconds to reach. 45, then it jumped to 59, and then we're back to the second minute of the O clock. And you can see here, if I show you the clock, because remember it's 12:01 and 5 seconds. If I show you the actual clock and pull it over, if there was, this is the letter I, the letter T, the letter I, the letter S. It is 12 o'clock, but it's 12 o'clock and 1 minute. So it's 1 minute after 12. As soon as the next minute cycles through, you'll see a pixel light up here, right over there. Should come up any second now, and it should be accurate because I moved from 46 seconds to 59 seconds to take up the slack in the board. Come on, guy. It seems like it's longer than 1 minute, but it's not. It just seems like it when I'm holding the board here. There you go. See, it lit up now. So now it is 12 o'clock and 1 minute, 2 minutes. So there you go. That's how this thing works. So again, it's a lot of buying these NeoPixels. It's a lot of wiring them together, because once you get to the end, you got to wire the 5-volt, the digital, and the common, or the ground. You got to loop it to the next NeoPixel, going in the direction that the NeoPixels need to read the current, and then you got to do that for each loop. So it's a little bit of wiring, a little bit of soldering. I think there's 63 solder points here. Then if you want to go to the board and you want to become more sophisticated and you want to be able to have the pixels based upon a software program move by 30-minute intervals or 1-minute intervals, then you got to wire these buttons in. You got to figure out where to buy the buttons, and I figured out a good vendor for the buttons. You got to wire it into the board, knowing you got to give it 5 volts. You got to give it a ground. You got to give it a normally open, normally closed, so when you press the button, it actually changes the software program. And on this button here, now I can light this one up as well. I just didn't put 5 volts to this button. This one I put 5 volts to it already. So when you press this one, it moves it by 1 minute, all controlled by software. And you can see on the software, I'll show you the software. Instead of changing the program, I won't change the program. Here's the program here. Here's the readout. If I press the 5-minute button, which I've got in my hand right here, oops, how am I going to show you that? Okay, here's the button in my hand. Notice it's going to go from 156, I'll press the button, 226, 256, 326, 356. If I press the 1 minute button, it's going to go down 1 minute. It also zeroes out the seconds so you can actually create accuracy. 56 and 8 seconds, 55 and 0 seconds, 54 and 0 seconds. And as I do that, it changes the lights on the board. And I'll press the 30-minute again, and you'll see the lights on the board change as I press the 30-minute increase. And this is just, I'm doing this today actually so I can create a history of what I'm doing here. Not necessarily to entertain you guys. And we've had a lot of storms in Arizona, and I'm allergic to the pollen that's in the air, so that's why I'm coughing again today a little bit. But that's it. You get the idea how this works. It's not as easy as some people thought when they saw me doing this yesterday, where they can just go buy NeoPixels, this little Arduino card, plug everything in, and everything works. It's not that simple. Nothing is that simple, and you guys know that. That's all I got for today, and that's all I'm going to talk about. See you guys later.
Sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest
I'll
videos.
answer
You
your
have the
questions
option to be
live.
notified for occasional videos or all of them.
Stop the
If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Okay, so I apologize for not answering John's questions. I already clicked off my video. But just to answer John's questions here, he says it's a lot of trips to Radio Shack. You know, Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, right? So actually go online now and you can order, if you're interested in trying this out, let's see, maybe I can show you guys where to get this stuff. Yeah, here's the site for the board, the control board. So you are writing software directly to the board, as I showed you. Now the board is made by this company called Arduino. They're an Italian company. And let's see, am I showing this on the screen? I think I am. So you go here to Arduino, which is store.arduino.cc, and they have a variety of different boards here. There's ones that controls motors, so I'm going to play around with that as well. The one I bought was actually the Arduino Uno 3. You scroll up, so here you go. Here's the board that's actually purchased that I got. You can buy it from these guys. You can find some people on eBay that sell them cheaper than 23 bucks, by the way. So I got that there, and then NeoPixels, I got them on eBay. And here's the NeoPixels. They come in a spool, and you can see they're made by this company called Adafruit NeoPixel Digital RGB. So remember I said you can change the colors of these pixels. I happen to have them right now shaded in like a soft blue, depending on how they'll shine through the screen that I put, where I cut out the letters so the LED can shine through where I have the letters cut out. I may change the color so it looks better. But you can buy a strip of 30 of them for like 17 bucks. So a little bit of an output for that. And let's see, the software, when you buy the Arduino product, they actually have a website for the software, which is actually I've been running. Here's the interface. Oh, did I just shut it down? See here, I'm trying to run my video, right? Trying to run my face on there, but here, when you run the Arduino, you get this interface of software, and here's where you write your code, and then when you press the little button up top, let me make sure you can see this. When you press this little button up top, you just have to drop the screen down a little bit. You can see here you can press this, it says upload. That's how you upload your software to the card, so that all the program that you wrote goes and burns into the card and then runs the program on the card, so that when you unplug it from the computer, as long as the board is powered up, it'll just continue to run the program like you'd expect in your washing machine or anything that's got a computer board in it. Obviously you don't have a computer programming the board every time you start up the card. It's got its program in default mode, so all it's going to do as soon as it gets electricity, it's going to run the program that was burned into it, the program that it was uploaded. So for instance, you upload it with the upload button. Remember, I have the time set to 12 o'clock and 5 seconds. Here's the time right here on the right hand side. As soon as I press the upload button, it's going to re-upload the software I've got currently on the board here on the computer. It's going to rerun it, and it's going to initiate the time from 8 o'clock and 26 seconds, or 8 o'clock and 26 minutes and 30 seconds. As soon as I hit that, notice it's going to change to 12 o'clock. And there it goes, 12 minutes, 12 o'clock, 0 minutes, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. So that's the way this all works. What else did you ask, John? You do that easier with a do-while loop and get the conditions this way. It doesn't keep going through if statements. That is true. I'll refine this program. I just did it kind of quick and dirty just to make sure I get the board to work, just to make sure I can get the NeoPixels to light up based upon the time that I've got. So you're right, I'll probably put a do loop in there. I haven't programmed into like 15, 16 years, John, so it's been a while, so I'll have to go through and do all that stuff. So, John, thanks a lot for watching the show and checking out my project. There's more projects, by the way. If you go to the home page of these guys at Arduino, where did I do it? Oh, here's the software run to the shows. This is called Open Broadcast Studio. You can see that I've only had 3 people watching the show right now. Okay, so now if I go to a browser, Arduino, if you go to, the way you can learn how to program too is you can go to like resources or community. Where was it? Community, Project Hub. See, a lot of people use these Arduino boards to do a lot of stuff. And see, here's one guy that's written, you can see all the projects these guys have built with software and with these control cards sold by Arduino. There's kind of a cool one I'm going to try later on. Here's a guy that's used the Arduino card to do a recordable cardboard robot arm. Here's a guy that's done an automated light switch. Not exactly sure what that is. Here's a guy that's playing around with cubes. Touchless body temperature detector. Probably have this at the casinos when you go in, they check your temperature to make sure you don't have COVID-19. There's a lot of sophisticated stuff here. One of them actually had this set up so that you could detect who was close to you within 10 feet, and as they approach, you can make sure you stay your 6-foot distance away from them. And usually these people, because they're part of a forum, they actually share with you how they did it. What board they used, what NeoPixels they used, what other hardware they used. Let's see, I was thinking about doing, here's Outdoor Rover. Now check this out, Outdoor Rover, that's pretty cool. You see he's got some boards on top of it, probably made by Arduino, but if you click on this guy's project, then he'll show you the product. And then he'll usually show you down below the things he used. He used a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, Arduino Uno, or I think sometimes that "and" means an "or." I'm not sure if it means both, although he's got pictured here both if I show it on the screen properly. So this guy, for this particular project, if you buy these boards and experiment, you can see he's got these purchased products, and then he shows you the tools. Now I've got to go buy a 3D printer because obviously the screen, what I showed you here, the clock, I'm going to try to build 3D objects like a skyscraper on a flatbed, and the skyscraper is going to show the time. So I'm going to make this a little less boring than what I just showed you, with a little bit more automation, a little more 3D. So I'm going to have to buy a 3D printer. Let's see, what kind of 3D printer did this guy buy? He doesn't tell you. Soldering iron, obviously, and a laser cutter. So he's got these other tools necessary to build what he built. And some of them actually show you, if they were not proud, they would show you the code that they, now this guy doesn't show you that. It shows you the electronics, how they're, the board. So it gives you a lot of detail here. Software written in Python. So this guy writes in Python, and he actually did share the code. Now here you go and see, maybe he'll share with you the code that he wrote. And he does. He shows you this. Now if I had the hardware set up, I could just install his code to the board, but I wouldn't be able to actually view the code that he wrote, because he wrote it and compiled it. And when you compile it, it creates an INO. That's the three, what do they call that? The extension at the end. It's an INO. You know, you're familiar with PDF. You're familiar with all that stuff. TXT. So this creates an INO file, which is the code that's compiled by Arduino, and you actually upload this code to the board. So he's not showing you actually the code that he wrote. He's just giving you the code that was already created. So kind of cool. And that's all I got. It is now 12:33. My lunch half hour is over, because I'm only taking half hour for lunch today. So the end of today's project, a little update. I'm doing this only really for historical purposes, not really to entertain anybody. But that is all I've got. Thanks, John, for joining the show, and have a great day. I should end the show like Gene Rayburn does of the Match Game, where he says, "This is Gene Rayburn."